Hello everyone. So today's session is all about the organisms that make our planet green. Yes, you got me right. We are going to see about plants. To be precise, about the kingdom Plantae. So let's get started. Before moving on to the topics and subtopics for the day, I hope you're all aware about the 5 kingdom classification given by Robert H. Whittaker. And those 5 kingdoms are Kingdom Monera, which contains prokaryotic unicellular organisms, Kingdom Proctoctista or Protista, which contains unicellular eukaryotic organisms, Kingdom Fungi, which contains uni and multicellular saprophytic fungal organisms, Kingdom Plantae, which contains multicellular eukaryotic autotrophic organisms, and finally the kingdom Animalia, which contains multicellular eukaryotic heterotrophic organisms. So let's get started for today's session. We will be looking at introduction, then learning objective, features, divisions, summary, and then the final slide. So before any further delay, let's move on to the introduction. So how can I classify an organism as plant? Plants can be seen with naked eye, and therefore they are multicellular. They have membrane-bound organelles, mitochondria and chloroplast. Chloroplast is a site of photosynthesis. They also produce their own food, so their mode of nutrition is autotropism, right? So let us see how do they prepare their food. So I hope you're all aware their source of food comes from photosynthesis. The raw materials or the ingredients for photosynthesis is carbon dioxide and water. And this reaction is taken over by sunlight and chlorophyll. Sunlight is the energy that is needed for the reaction, and chlorophyll concentrates sunlight into the chloroplast. Hence, the reaction takes place and plants produce glucose as their food and oxygen as the byproduct. So let's quickly get into the learning objectives. We will first list the main features used to place organisms into groups within the plant kingdom, and we will also see the further divisions of plant. Okay, so the different divisions are nothing but how are they further grouped. So let's first see the features. As we've already discussed in the introduction, plants are organisms that perform photosynthesis, so they do have chlorophyll in them, the green color pigment. And they should also have plant-like structure, that means the root and shoot system. They should be having vascular bundles, the xylem, phloem vessels to undertake transportation and translocation. And features for reproduction would be sexual typically, and few plants also undergo asexual reproduction. And of course, their mode of nutrition is autotrophism. Now, how are they further divided? So IGCSE Extended topic contains plants into 2 broad classifications about ferns and flowering plant. So we will be only focusing on ferns and flowering plant, but there are 5 divisions in plants which you will be learning in higher classes. So without any further delay, let's move into ferns. So this is a picture of a fern plant. I hope you would have seen them in the bouquet shop or also in the bouquet that we get, right? So bouquet contains ferns because ferns are organisms, the plant organisms that can thrive even in the lesser sunlight region. And they have leaves called fronds. They do not produce flowers, so they don't bear seeds. They don't reproduce through sexual reproduction. Hence, they produce spores. And those spores are produced under the side of fronds. And next is about the flowering plant. Flowering plants are called as angiosperms. They reproduce by means of flowers and producing seeds. So gametes are involved over here, and seeds are produced as a result of fertilization. Seeds are produced inside the ovary. So I hope you can recollect the topic that you are dealt with in grade 8 about the structure of a flower. So the female part pistil contains stigma, style, and ovary contains ovule. Post-fertilization, ovules convert into seed, right? So precisely ovary contains a seed. And a flowering plant can be broadly classified into two categories, monocotyledons and dicotyledons. And how are these monocotyledon and dicotyledon are distinguished? Let's see that. So in your topic, you'll be only looking at about their flowers, leaf venation and the roots. So this is the germination cycle of a monocotyledon plant. So if you could see, from the seed only one leaf emerges from the node, right? So this is a monocotyledonous plant. Cotyledon means seed leaf, and monocot have single leaf coming from the leaf node. So if you look into this picture, from one node only one leaf emerges. Okay, so let's quickly see how are their flowers look like. The flowers of monocotyledonous plant contain petals in the multiples of 3. So it could be 3, 6, 9, 12, so on and so forth. So this is an example of a monocotyledonous flower containing 3 petals, and the below picture is an example of a monocotyledonous plant containing a flower that contains petal in the number of 6. And basically they are called as trimerous flowers, meaning the petals will be in the multiples of 3. And about the leaf venation, they have parallel venations. The veins in the leaf would be in a parallel configuration. So they are called as parallel venation. The leaf veins are arranged in parallel venation. And next is about their roots. Monocotyledons have fibrous roots. So they would not be a long root and then the subordinate roots. They will be having bunch of smaller roots would be in a fibrous form. So they have fibrous roots. Now let us see how our dicotyledonous plant looking like. So dicotyledons, as the name suggests, they have 2 cotyledons. Seed leaf are 2 in numbers. So in this germination cycle, if you could see, from one node there are 2 leaves emerging. So this is a dicotyledonous plant. And now let us see how are their flowers arranged. Flowers of dicotyledon plant will have petals in the multiples of 4 or 5. So scientifically they are tetramerous or pentamerous based on the arrangement of petals. Next, the veins in the leaf are reticulate, meaning they have a main vein and then there will be networks of vein coming out, just like our arteries and veins. So they have reticulate venation, not parallel venation. They have reticulate venation. So if you could see, they look like a web network. So this is a diagram that represents reticulate venation. Next is a root. As I told you, dicotyledonous plant have tap roots. Monocotyledons have fibrous roots, and that's the difference. If you could see, they have a long root and then subordinate smaller roots coming up. So this is a tap root. And then coming into the summary, in this session we have learnt about characteristics of a plant. So we have seen what are the features that are needed for an organism to be represented as a plant, right? We've also seen the division of plant kingdom. Broadly 2 divisions we have seen. One is about ferns, the second is about angiosperms, the flowering plant. And thirdly, about the type of flowering plants, we have seen monocotyledon and dicotyledon. And finally, please fill in the Google form that is sent to you. And if you have any doubts, please reach out to us to the mail ID that is given below. I'll see you in another video. Take care. Happy learning.